This happened when I was really young, probably around 6 or 7 years old. My family has always been pretty devoted when it comes to our faith, so religious holidays like Easter were always a big event in our home. Honestly, even Sundays felt like mini holidays because of how seriously my parents treated church. Some of my earliest memories are tied to that church, and this story is one of them. It was Easter Sunday, and the church service ran way longer than usual. I didn't mind though. My parents had taught me to love and respect our beliefs from early on. After the service, we had our Sunday school class. Our church called it CCD. I know a lot of churches skip it on big days, but ours didn't. So, once Mass ended, my parents walked me downstairs to the classrooms just like they always did, and I said goodbye before heading in. Let me explain the setup a little so the rest of this makes sense. Our church was built on a slight hill, so it had a split-level layout. The main sanctuary was upstairs, and the classrooms were downstairs in what was technically the basement. But because of the slope, you could still exit and enter the building from there. There was this long, carpeted hallway with a bunch of classrooms. On either side, probably about 7 or 8 in total, grouped by age. My classroom was one of the first on the left. At the far end of the hallway were 2 restrooms, one for boys and one for girls, and next to those was a big gray metal door that led outside. That door was supposed to stay locked from the inside unless there was an emergency. We were warned never to use it since it would lock behind us and we wouldn't be able to get back in. Anyway, back to what happened. The lower floor was decked out for Easter, like completely festive. There were paper decorations of crosses, lambs, pastel streamers, and little drawings of Jesus taped between the classrooms. Some of the teachers even wore those cheap bunny ears you see at dollar stores. It actually felt more cheerful down there than upstairs during the service. The kids were all in good spirits too, probably because we knew there'd be an egg hunt later. Normally, I'd wait until the end of class to use the restroom, but the service had gone on longer than usual, and I really had to go. I raised my hand, asked to be excused, and the teacher let me go. The bathroom wasn't far, maybe 15 feet away, and it wasn't uncommon for kids to go on their own. The teachers always said they'd check on us if we were gone too long, but I don't recall that ever actually happening, so I walked out quietly while the rest of the class was coloring pictures of Jesus's empty tomb. I entered the boys' bathroom, picked a stall, and shut the door. The place was mostly quiet, except for the buzzing of the fluorescent lights and a distant teacher's voice drifting down the hall. Then I heard something strange. From the next stall over, I picked up this odd scraping noise. Not the normal kind of sounds you'd expect, like someone unlocking a door or shifting around. This was slow and metallic, like something being dragged against the stall wall. It wasn't super loud, but it was sharp and deliberate. At first, I wasn't scared, just confused. I figured maybe it was another kid being weird, so I just stayed quiet and finished up. As I was washing my hands, I looked into the mirror and saw the stall door beside mine slowly creak open, and out stepped someone wearing an Easter bunny costume. I remember how the ears drooped forward and how the costume looked a bit off, like it had never been washed. The fur was a dingy gray-white, not bright and clean, and one of the eyes on the head looked crooked, like it had been sewn back on poorly. Still, I didn't feel scared. Not right away. I was little, and my first thought was that this was part of some church surprise. I even smiled and greeted him. I think I said something like, "Hi," he didn't respond. Just stood there halfway out of the stall, staring. His head was tilted slightly, unmoving. The silence started to feel uncomfortable. Then, slowly, he stepped all the way out and raised one arm, pointing toward the exit door. Finally, in a muffled voice, he spoke, "You've been specially chosen. I have something for you outside." I didn't hesitate. I was genuinely excited, thinking this was part of some hidden Easter surprise. I pushed open the big gray door without a second thought. The man in the costume followed behind me silently. We crossed the pavement outside the church, heading toward a far-off corner of the lot. There was a car parked near some overgrown bushes and a dumpster. I remember thinking it was odd that the car was parked so far away, and that he didn't even have a candy basket or anything. At one point, he reached for my hand. We were halfway across the lot when I noticed something that made me stop. Another person, also dressed in an Easter bunny costume, stepped out from behind the car. I froze. My young brain didn't know how to process it. 2 Easter bunnies? It didn't feel magical anymore, it felt wrong. Then something incredible happened. Something I still believe was divine. One of the teachers, Miss Sabrina, I think, was outside walking around, maybe prepping for the egg hunt. She spotted us at that exact moment, and the scream she let out, I'll never forget it. The man immediately dropped my hand and bolted toward the car. Without thinking, I ran straight into Miss Sabrina's arms. She held me tightly, and I looked back just in time to see the car speed off, and I swear, I saw another child in the back seat. Miss Sabrina didn't notice, but I told her, and she took me seriously. The next few hours were a blur. The police were called, and I gave my statement. They asked about the other child I thought I saw, and I did my best to describe him, even though I'd only seen him for a second. My parents were devastated. My mom cried all night. The police followed up with the church, but nothing came of it. No local children had been reported missing, so the investigation went cold. The assumption was that the man somehow had a key or found a way in, and waited, hoping to lure a child. To this day, I'm haunted by how well he seemed to know the building. He knew where to park, where the emergency door was, and how to move without being noticed. And I still believe there really was another kid in that car. Every Easter, I think about that day, and how close I came to disappearing forever.